I'm making a video on one of my other channels. I almost said on one of me other, like Scottish, one of me other. Basically trying to get 4,000 viewing hours on this channel so I can turn it into something great. Now in California, and this really concerns the people in California, because they have definitely been misclassified, right? Uber sees them as independent contractors, and right now what you really need are your unemployment benefits, your sick leave, etc., all your rights. So there is a form. I'm going to share the link of the form with you underneath. Every state has this type of request for preliminary worker classification assessment or audit lead referral. It may sound very complicated, but this is what it comes down to. The purpose of this document, this form may be used by a worker who believes that he or she is misclassified as an independent contractor, or to provide information on the business entity of the Employment Development Department, EDD, as a potential employment tax audit lead. Please indicate the action you wish the EDD to take by checking one of the boxes below. And we're going to walk through that together. Mark, how are you? How are things going over there in Vegas? Are you holding up strong, my friend? This is basically for the California crowd, Mark, but every state has this. If somebody feels that they have been misclassified, right? And this is a great way to force the state to immediately look at you as an employee if you want to go that route and get all your benefits and get your money, right? Because they have put you in the independent contractor category. Now, obviously, when you're done, you mail that in. General information, this form is designed to cover many work activities. Some of the questions may not apply to you. You should answer all of the questions or mark them unknown or does not apply. So this is a long form. We'll go through this. Again, I'm going to be leaving the link to this. What is this for? It forces, or it allows the state to look at you, right? And if you believe you have been misclassified as an independent contractor and you want to be classified as a worker and get all the benefits, you got to submit this. So in this field over here, right behind me, let's just go up a little bit here. Right, it says audit lead over there. We're going to be concentrating on this side. Opinion, I'm requesting an opinion on whether I'm an employee or an independent contractor of the entity for which I am currently working. The cool thing is that this comes from California. They want you to get this form going so that they can go after Uber. That's why they've been pushing this form out. This is not just something I found. This is what California is putting out there as their answer, forcing individuals, drivers, or giving them the opportunity and forcing Uber to undo that misclassification, right? So there it is. You would click on that box over here, right? There it is up there. I'm requesting an opinion on whether I'm an employee or an independent contractor of the entity for which I'm currently working. This opinion is for your information, and the entity will not be notified of the EDD's opinion without your permission. However, it is the EDD's practice to encourage employer voluntary compliance. Okay, so you can volunteer. I'll tell you which one to choose just now, and I'll tell you why. Sharing the opinion with the entity will assist the entity in meeting its obligations under the California Unemployment Insurance Code. May the EDD supply the entity with a copy of the opinion? Yes or no? That's where I would put no. Right? You don't really want them to know behind the scenes what you're doing. You want to collaborate and work with the state. But if they pass this on, who knows what Uber does? They're known for retaliating. They're known for deactivating, right? So I would keep this dialogue between you and the state. If you check no, the entity will not be contacted. If you check yes, the EDD's notification to the entity will not include your name, address, social security number, or a copy of this form. Okay, that's interesting. So if you were to check yes, the EDD's notification to the entity will not include your name, address. Okay, I take it back. So I'd misread that. In that case, yes, right? And they will not share your name, your address, your social security, right? And the EDD's determination will not affect your future eligibility for employee-related benefits such as California unemployment insurance and state disability insurance. The EDD's determination will not affect your future eligibility for employee-related benefits such as California unemployment insurance and state disability insurance, which is a great thing. If you file a claim for benefits, a separate determination will be made to determine your eligibility. Now, you put the name of the worker, obviously Uber or Lyft or Postmates. That's you, the name of the worker, the entity, the address, your social security number, date you were hired. Are you currently working for this business entity? Yes, no, yes. If no, please provide the date last worked and explain why you were terminated, laid off, or quit. Okay, that's also a good one. Many people were wrongfully terminated. So you'd say, okay, I was terminated. You'd say they're wrongfully terminated, and then get the ball rolling. If you are not currently working for this entity and you are requesting an opinion of your personal employment status, please do not submit this form because opinions are only provided to workers currently working with the entity. Complete the remainder of the form only if you are submitting this as an audit lead or are currently working with the entity. Provide a brief description of the entity's business operations. Easy, rideshare company, state your occupation, title, and give a complete description of the services you provide. Also very easy to do. Estimate the number of workers performing the same services as you for the entity. You could look that up in California, probably 300,000. How did you learn of the job? Advertisement on the internet or newspaper. You could say you got a referral code. What were the requirements for your position, e.g. previous experience, education? Weren't really any requirements. You had to have your driver's license, right? Are your services performed under a written agreement or contract? Yes, no. If yes, please attach copy. If the agreement is not in writing, no copy is available, or the terms of the written agreement are not complied with in practice, describe the actual terms and conditions of the arrangement. How is your pay calculated? Fixed salary, commission, hourly, other. You could put other. It's based on miles and minutes, right? Are you guaranteed a minimum pay? Yes, no. No, you're not. If yes, please state the minimum pay and frequency of the payment. That doesn't apply. Who set the pay rate? They did. D, were you paid in regular intervals, weekly? Are you paid in cash or check? Are deductions made? Yes, no. If you performed services for the entity in the prior calendar year, did you receive a 1099, a W-2 or other? Fill that in, right? Does the entity provide you with a pension program, bonuses, paid vacation, sick pay? No, they don't. Does the entity carry workers' compensation insurance on you? And no, they don't. Can the entity discharge you or lay you off at any time? Yes. If yes, explain how, right? They could basically deactivate you. Is any notice required? Not really. Obviously, they have to give a reason. Would you be liable to the entity if you quit before the job was complete? No. Would the entity be liable to you if the entity discharged you without notice? Would the entity be liable to you if the entity discharged you without notice or before the job was complete? No. Was it agreed or understood that you would perform the services personally? Yes. Do you have any helpers? No. Who hired the helpers? Doesn't apply. Who can discharge the helpers? Doesn't apply. Who pays the helpers? Doesn't apply. If you pay the helpers, does the entity reimburse you? Doesn't apply. What services do the helpers perform? Doesn't apply. Are Social Security, Medicare, state disability insurance, and income taxes withheld from the helpers' wages? No. Does the entity allow you to provide services for others during the same time periods? Period services are performed for the entity. Yes, you can perform duties for other companies. What percent of your total working time do you spend working for others? You could work that out if you do Uber and Lyft, right? What percent of your total income is earned from others? You can again put in a percentage. Describe any services you perform for others. You could say drove for Lyft, food delivery for Postmates, for example. Are you required to give the entity first priority over your work for others? No. Do you provide any tools, instrumentalities, and or facilities needed to perform the services? Yes. Cell phone, car, cleaning supplies, etc., etc. List any tools, instrumentals, and or facilities furnished by the entity and their proximate value. No, they're not furnished by the entity, they're furnished by you. Were you required to wear a uniform? No. Do you incur any expenses that you pay in connection with the services you perform for the entity? Yes, you can go into discussion there. Are you reimbursed by the entity for any expenses? No. You may also want to bring, like things like toll fees, etc., in there. Do you perform services for the entity under your business name, the entity's name? That would be under the entity's name. Do you advertise or maintain a business listing in the phone directory? No. Do you hold yourself out to the public as available to provide services of this nature? Yes. Do you have an office or shop of your own? No. 25 is a license or certificate required to perform the services you perform for the entity? Yes. What type of license? Obviously, your driver's license. Who issued the license or certificate to you and the entity? State the type of number of your license, for example, the DMV, and then you put your driver's license. Who paid the license or certificate fee? You did. How does the entity engage your services? Full-time, part-time, particular? You can determine that based on your average hours. You can explain on that one. That's number 26. 27. Does the entity require you to perform your services during a scheduled time? No. Who paid for the training expenses? You could say, I paid for training expenses. You could list any type of schooling you did for that, or rideshare driving school. Were you given an orientation by the entity? No. Are you required to follow a work schedule specifying days and hours in which the work had to be performed? No. Again, you have to elaborate there. These are flexible hours. They know at the end of the day that this is between you and Uber. They know, by the way, I'm going to go back to 29 just now, but they know that when you're submitting this and you say the employer, you call the entity Uber, they know that this is a misclassification. They know pretty much how Uber works. So to your best ability, of course, you give them Oh, yes, Mark Roughton, thank you so much. He's listening in there. He said the state license, and many people also pay for the state license. So Mark Roughton in Vegas would pay for the state license. Many people in California also pay for the state license. I, for example, would mention my other type of licenses, such as the TCP, what I pay on that side, right? Because there I'm a private limo driver. I can bring that in here. 29, are you required to follow a work schedule specifying days and hours? No. Explain. 30, does the entity give you instructions on how to perform your services? Yes, I would say, and then you could describe the app, right? Trip is available, made available by the entity. Driver, myself, accepts the trip, right? So you sort of explain how the services are performed. 31, can the entity change the methods you use in performing your services? Does the entity give you, can the entity change the methods you use in performing your services or otherwise direct you as to how to perform your work? No, but you could, you could elaborate a little bit on that. There is also a possibility of putting in yes there. Can the entity change the methods you use? Mark Roughton, how do you like this one? Can the entity change the methods you use in performing your services or otherwise direct you as to how to perform your work? Not really. They can't really tell you how to perform your work, right? 32A, are you required to provide reports to the entity or its representative? No. For what purpose? You don't have to fill that out, doesn't apply. In what manner? In person, in writing, by phone, doesn't apply. 33. Oh, I see. Okay, you could talk about XXL, and yes, they tell you how to. Correct, he's right on that. On 31, you could mention the different classifications and how you instructed to perform within X and XL. Very good point. I'm tired, Mark. That's why I'm a little bit lagging, but trying to get through this so we can get people to get the paperwork out now that California made this available, right? So I want people rock and roll. Every day you can get this filed earlier is another day you're winning where you get your monies, right? So number 33, if you do not appreciate it, are you waiting for a trip, Mark? Are you sitting in the car waiting for a trip, or are you just chilling at home? And 33, if you do not produce or accept a certain amount of work regularly or achieve certain performance goals, will the entity terminate your service? That's a good one, right? If you do not produce or accept, if I would go into details there. Yes, they would terminate you if you fell below a certain rating. If you do not accept, if your acceptance rate was not at a specific level, yeah. So there you can actually elaborate a little bit what bastards these people are, Uber and Lyft. I think that the state would really sympathize with you on number 33. 34, how do you normally report earnings for income tax purposes, wages, self-employment income? That really wouldn't apply here because they would know that Uber does not pay wages and you don't have self-employment income through them. So I would just say it would not apply. Could you in any way incur a financial loss from the services that you perform for the entity? If yes, for example, I would say, I have conducted numerous driver referrals, but I haven't been paid for it, right? So maybe they would look into that, right? Mark Roughton, quarter taxes. Oh, Mark Roughton says he's just hanging with me. He hasn't driven for 4 weeks and 1 quarter taxes. Okay, cool. Has any other governmental agency ruled on the status of services performed by you for this entity? No. 37, please explain why you believe you are an employee or an independent contractor of the entity, I could say there, I'm at the bottom of this, which is cool, and you sign, I would say that California ruled on January the 1st, AB5, which makes me an employee. That's the first one I would put in there. And then that you meet all the conditions of an employee according to the Dynamex ruling, right? Which is the Supreme Court ruling. So this is it. I mean, we work through all of this, boom, then you go and print it out. Quick little recap. This form may be used by a worker who believes that she is misclassified as an independent contractor, or to provide information on the business entity of the Employment Development Department, EDD, as a potential employment tax audit lead. Please indicate the action you wish the EDD to take by checking one of the boxes below. Now, I will make another video. I'll let Mark Rout know. I'll make another very, very short video for the Rideshare Professor channel, and I will reference this link. Why am I referencing this link? I am trying to get to the 4,000 viewing hours on my second channel, because I've got a ton of other cool, exciting stuff to share. The way I run my other businesses. There's a lot of other good stuff beyond rideshare, and I think rideshare drivers should be exposed to multiple different ideas. I want to talk a lot about business. I want to talk a lot about marketing, and just empower and motivate people in general wherever I can. I really enjoy doing that. So I really appreciate you sticking with me, going through these 6 pages. I know it's rather boring, but we definitely went through all those 30-something points. How many were there? There were 37 points. We got through that pretty quickly, 22, 23 minutes. Do watch the video, even if you just, watch the video and help me drive up my minutes for my channel. I truly appreciate it. I wish Mark Routen a great night, and all the other viewers that are participating in the stream. Thank you so much for allowing me to explain how this exactly works. And by the way, this is what California wants Uber and Lyft drivers to get going ASAP. So they're actually helping you. They are working with you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mark Routen. I appreciate you. Have a great evening.